CBS News Bay Area Afternoon Edition with Ann Makovic.
We start with breaking news in Redwood City. Firefighters rushed to a garage fire in North Fair Oaks around 4:45 this morning and found a 31-year-old woman inside. Crews pulled her out and tried to save her, but she died at the scene. 2 other people got out on their own and were not hurt. Chopper 5 was over the scene as deputies evacuated nearby homes. No word yet on what sparked the fire or how that woman died. We are also following breaking news out of Hollywood. Actor Katherine O'Hara, who starred in Home Alone, Beetlejuice, and more recently Schitt's Creek, has died. Her publicist says she died at home in Los Angeles after a brief illness. She was 71 years old. Good afternoon to you. I'm Mugo Digwe in for Ann Makovic. We are also following demonstrations across the Bay Area today, part of a nationwide Ice Out Day of action. In fact, right now in the East Bay, high school students, they are participating in a walkout. Now, as many people hit the streets to make their voices heard, some are also taking part in the protest by not shopping or spending money. In San Francisco's Mission District, 4 Barrel Coffee is closed today as part of the so-called national shutdown. It's one of many shops and cafes across the Bay closing on what's usually a busy Friday. They say it's meant to denounce the Trump administration's immigration policies. Manny's is also closing their doors today. They posted that message on social media, along with other businesses in the Castro. We will, of course, continue to follow those protests and leaders' reactions throughout the day. Get updates anytime at kpix.com or streaming on the free CBS News app. The FBI is now leading the investigation into the death of Alex Preddy, the ICU nurse who was shot and killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis on Saturday. His death triggered protests across the city and violent clashes between demonstrators and federal agents. The White House says Border Czar Tom Homan was sent to Minneapolis to de-escalate tensions. He spoke to reporters about his plans for immigration operations in Minnesota.
What we've been working on is making this operation safer, more efficient, by the book.
Homan says some of the 3,000 agents deployed could be drawn down if federal authorities get more access to undocumented immigrants being held in state prisons and county jails. Former CNN anchor Don Lemon was arrested last night in Los Angeles, and he is expected in federal court today. The DOJ says Lemon was part of an anti-immigration enforcement protest that interrupted a church service in St. Paul, Minnesota earlier this month. The now independent journalist says he was not part of the protest, but was covering it as a journalist. 3 other people were arrested. Lemon faces 2 charges related to interfering with civil and First Amendment rights. On Capitol Hill, the Senate is set to vote on a spending bill to keep the government funded. This after top Democrats struck a deal with the White House before tonight's deadline. Now, under this deal, Senate Democrats agreed to vote on 5 bills to ensure most of the federal government is funded. Funding for the Department of Homeland Security would be extended for 2 weeks, and this would allow negotiations over ICE reforms to continue. Even if the bills are passed by the Senate today, a partial shutdown is still on the horizon. That's because the House would need to approve the changes, but the lower chamber will not be back in session until Monday. All right, with Super Bowl 60 just 9 days away, 9 days, can you believe it? Bay Area officials, they're trying to ease public concerns about an immigration crackdown tied to the game at Levi's Stadium. Our elected leaders say none of us should expect any more federal agents than is typical for a major sporting event. San Francisco Mayor Daniel Lurie tells the Chronicle he has received assurances from both the NFL and federal agencies that there will be no surge of immigration agents. Lurie also says he intends to keep monitoring the situation. And in Santa Clara County, where the game will actually happen, DA Jeff Rosen says he has not heard any mention of operations by ICE tied to the Super Bowl. And today, the NFL will provide a first look at a transformation of San Francisco Moscone Center into the Super Bowl experience. Meanwhile, road closures around Moscone Center start today, and that includes rerouting of bicycle and public transit routes. Some city streets will have local access only. That means they are only open for residents and business deliveries. Here's a map right now of the planned closures provided by the SFMTA. Roads being blocked off include stretches of Howard, 4th, Folsom, and Mission Streets, and that includes a section of Howard near Moscone Center, and that will be closed around the clock. A quake alert in the East Bay. Yet another small earthquake shook the San Ramon area. This time it was a 3.4 earthquake that hit around 10:30 this morning, not too far from Cal High. No word of major damage, so let's check in with meteorologist Jessica Birch.
Well, let's pull up the map right now, and I also just want to paint the picture a little bit more. Yes, we just had a 3.4 magnitude earthquake, but you probably just felt it recently too. There was an aftershock, about a 2.9 reported just after. We're continuing to monitor any other aftershocks here in the Weather Center when it comes to this specific earthquake. We'll keep you updated on that too. This was just south of San Ramon, by the way, and we're continuing to track that closely. But let's take a look at current conditions and daytime highs, because we're talking about daytime highs in those communities in the low 60s, at least in the Tri-Valley area, a little bit warmer into Fremont, 67 there, all the way down into the Santa Clara Valley. We're in the upper 60s and lower 70s, similar to our friends over along the coast. Now, the National Weather Service has issued plenty of advisories along our shoreline. Right now, the king tides are back, and so high tide could be an additional foot above what we're used to seeing in the highlighted zones on this map in green. And then just along that shoreline, a beach hazard statement in effect too. I know it looks like beautiful beach going weather, and it is, just don't get in the water. The reason why I say that is because there's rip currents and sneaker waves. You want to be very careful of that as we head into the next couple days. That beach hazard statement will expire this weekend. For now, back to you.
All right, Jess, thank you so much. Okay, we want to get back to those demonstrations happening as part of a nationwide Ice Out Day of Action. Our Veronica Macias is live in Danville, where students at San Ramon Valley High School walked out of class today. Is that correct, Veronica?
That's right, Mugo. Some 500 students walked out at about 11:15, and around the campus, you still have some students, mostly seniors, who are out here, who were part of this demonstration, this protest. You have students that were holding signs. Let's go ahead and show you the video of those students walking out of the high school earlier today. A large crowd on this day of action calling for no shopping, no school, no work. And these students wanting to show their participation, holding signs saying abolish ICE. You know, the signs also speaking to this age. One there said, "The only ice I want is the ice on my wrist." So these students, we talked to them, they told us they were a little disappointed that they knew a smaller crowd was also going to be out here protesting alongside. This smaller crowd, made up of mostly white, younger men, boys that were out here also voicing their right in defense of ICE agents who are out, they say, doing their job. Take a listen to both sides.
Like Trump said he was gonna
Go
after criminals, and then he goes after innocent people and just starts like going after the U.S. citizens as well, and that's just not okay.
I think that due process is obviously important. I think that we should follow the law. Following the law is what unites Americans and brings them together. I think that we need to have due process.
So you have a lot of students who are still sort of lingering around the campus, just trying to voice their opinion out here. Thankfully, it was peaceful. The students made maybe 1 or 2 laps around the school and then ended the protest out here. And then you did have a little bit of a clash between both groups here. That one student holding the Mexican flag, trying to talk about her experience as a first generation, while the other students, said, we understand, are pro-immigration, but people should do it legally. So it just seems that you have people who are very passionate about the issue, and you can have very tense moments. And Mugo, initially when I arrived, there was the group of the smaller crowd, the pro-ICE demonstrators, and these young men were saying, oh, we're pro-ICE, we're here for pro-ICE in our beer, not acknowledging they were a pro-ICE rally until the very end when the two groups came together here. So on this day of action, not only here at San Ramon, but many schools across the Bay Area also seeing walkouts like this one.
Either way, Veronica, I'm glad to hear it was peaceful. Thank you so much for your reporting. And still ahead at noon and streaming on CBS News Bay Area, President Trump announces his pick to lead the Federal Reserve, and he has some ties to the Bay Area. And changes at the airport starting this weekend, why you may need to pay up if you are missing one thing. But here's a live look outside right now before we head to the break. Looks like a pretty pretty day out there. It's a bit bright. We'll be right back. The Justice Department says it's completed its review of records related to the Jeffrey Epstein probe and is releasing the remaining documents. Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche announced that the documents include more than 3 million pages, 2,000 videos, and 180,000 images from the investigation into the accused sex trafficker. Blanche says they'll be released throughout the day today. A Stanford economist is President Trump's choice to lead the Federal Reserve. He has chosen Kevin Warsh, a former Fed governor and current lecturer at Stanford's Graduate School of Business, to replace current Fed Chair Jerome Powell. Now, if Warsh passes Senate confirmation, he'll help set interest rate policy at a central bank the president has blasted for not cutting rates fast enough. Let's check on Wall Street right now. Here's a live look at the big boards. We can see the Dow. It is actually down more than 200 points. The stock for Bay Area tech giant Apple, it is trending downward today, and that is despite the company's latest earnings reports exceeding Wall Street expectations. Revenue hit $143.8 billion. That's a lot of money for the quarter, of up nearly $20 billion from just a year ago. Now, this increase is largely driven by the iPhone 17, which came out in September. These results come after a challenging 2025. Apple is grappling with the effects of tariffs and with delays of its revamped version of Siri. CEO Tim Cook now says it will arrive this year. And Amazon is reportedly planning a $50 billion investment in the Bay Area's OpenAI. The ChatGPT maker is also reportedly exploring funding from other sources, including SoftBank and Middle Eastern sovereign wealth funds. The valuation of OpenAI could end up close to $1 trillion. Okay. All right. New at noon, today's snow survey in the Sierra shows below average levels. This comes after snow has been sparse the past few weeks. State water officials at Phillips Station measured 23 inches of snow depth and 8 inches of snow water content. That's 46% for the average for this date. It is the second snow survey of the season. The snowpack was close to 100% of the historic average earlier this month. Measuring the snowpack helps forecast just how much snow melts will run off the state reservoirs. Let's go back to our first alert weather right now. Let's take a live look outside at the Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, it's looking really foggy there, but when I walked out outside today, Jess, it was a bit sunny.
It was. Yeah, I wouldn't even necessarily call that fog. It's just that little bit of haze that's still kind of hanging out with us.
Haze, is that it?
Fog would cover it up completely.
Really?
Yeah,
well, that's good to know.
And you've seen it before. I know we're San Franciscans. It's the reality for many of us here in the Bay Area, just waking up and heading out to that big, thick
cloud. So that's haze, and when it's foggy, it just covers up the entire thing.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about for us today. Here's what's happening for us as we head out over to the Golden Gate Bridge. I want to start off with talking about temperatures and how warm it's been actually for us, especially just the past few days. We've been seeing this nice warm up on trend for us from Morgan Hill over into Los Gatos. We're now in the 70s. We're in the upper 60s today along the coast, which I wish I could just say, oh, perfect, head out to the beach. And honestly, you could, and I'm sure many people will, but be very careful along that shoreline. All that blue color right there is a beach hazard statement issued by the National Weather Service, reminding us that there's sneaker waves and rip currents and choppy waters. And then on top of that, too, down into places like Santa Cruz, Monterey, and right back up to the mouth of the bay, all that green color is the king tides. The king tides are back, and we are under a coastal flood advisory right now. Some of the highest tides we'll see are about a foot above what we're used to seeing. So localized flooding and ponding is definitely possible. Nothing like what we saw just a month ago, but still similar conditions. Another thing to talk about too, just within the past couple hours now, there was a magnitude 3.4 earthquake south of San Ramon. Now, right after, there was a magnitude 2.9, and we're continuing to track those aftershocks as we head into the afternoon hours today. We'll monitor that closely and keep you updated. Back to the skies though, partly cloudy skies for us today. Heavier clouds starting to roll in from offshore. I keep doing this because really I'm just advancing the clock all the way into Sunday to paint the picture that we're not seeing any rain necessarily, but it could be a little bit misty with some of those thicker clouds, especially Sunday afternoon along the coast. But the rest of us just dealing with cloudy skies this weekend. That quickly changes into sunshine, though, as we head into next week with sunnier skies on tap for us into next week and warmer weather. This matches up with what the Climate Prediction Center has to say, with above normal conditions forecasted for us into the next 6 to 10 days. We'll keep you updated on that here in the Weather Center. For now, back to you.
All right, Jess, thank you. I'm all about those sunny skies. Okay, if you're flying this weekend, you might want to check your driver's license first. Starting Sunday, if you don't have one of those real ID licenses or a passport, it will cost you extra to get on the plane. It's part of the new TSA Confirm ID program. Passengers with non-compliant forms of identification must go to a TSA website, sign up, and pay the fee before they access security. And get this, that fee is only good for 10 days. CBS News correspondent Chris Van Cleve asked the TSA's executive administrator for security operations, what's behind the fee?
Why is it necessary to charge somebody $45 for this?
Absolutely. We want to make sure that the system is modernized. We want to make sure that we're covering down on the latest technology. We're also ensuring that in this situation, this cost is not bared by the taxpayers. This cost is bared by the individual that doesn't have a real ID compliant driver's license.
With new signage, I should say, with a QR code is going up at airports. Flyers can pay on the spot at the airport if necessary. Last May, after years of delay, TSA started requiring flyers show a real ID, and that's typically a driver's license with a star like this one you see here, or other approved forms of identification like, say, a passport, military, or tribal ID. Coming up, Grammy night is almost here. We are spotlighting a Bay Area nominee known for creating immersive experiences. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The Grammy Awards are this Sunday on KPIX. And today we are spotlighting another Bay Area nominee who is no stranger to the Recording Academy. From a devotional chant to a spectacular immersive experience, he has already won 5 Grammys and is up for another. Our Reed Cowan has a story.
The San Francisco Music Expo packed to the rafters, spilling into the halls and surrounded with sound. One workshop revolved around the rapidly growing field of immersive audio. It's where the sound surrounds the listener. About 25,000 immersive albums are now available on Apple Music.
If we think about it, we walk around in this world listening to music immersively. We listen to every sound immersively.
Immersive mastering engineer Michael Romanowski, known as Romo, was on hand to offer advice and answer questions.
It's only getting better, and the creativity is going off the charts. I'm so happy to see what people are doing.
Romo nominated for another Grammy for Best Immersive Audio Album. The work is called Immersed. Fellow nominee producer Justin Gray composed, recorded, and produced the album from the ground up for a 3D soundscape.
You know, he would do tambourines or tablas or something and would have 16 mics around them. So every instrument, there were some tracks that had more than 900 tracks on them.
We'll be listening Sunday for the sweetest sound to hear if Romo gets immersed with his 6th Grammy Award.
Fingers crossed for him. All right, the 2026 Grammy Awards is this Sunday at 5 p.m. on KPIX, or you can stream it live on Paramount+. And be sure to join us for red carpet coverage starting at 4 p.m. on Pix Plus 44 Cable 12 and streaming on the CBS News app. All right, coming up, some Bay Area teenagers, they are competing on a big stage. How their work with drones and AI could one day help detect wildfires. We'll be right back. All right, some San Jose high schoolers just beat out global competitors in a wildfire. Why did I say competitors? It's a wildfire tech contest that's sponsored by PG&E. A team from Valley Christian Schools called Wildfire Quest is now a finalist in the $11 million X Prize wildfire competition. It is for their AI-powered system that uses multiple sensors and drones to spot and fight fires. Each finalist gets a slice of a $750,000 pot prize. And this summer, they'll head to Alaska, where teams have to detect and fully put out a high-risk fire across an area as large as the greater Bay Area, with millions more on the line. Oh my goodness, that's it for the afternoon edition. Remember, we are streaming 24/7 on the free CBS News app. Our next newscast is at 5 o'clock. Have a great afternoon, everyone, and happy Friday to you all.